right. So good morning, everybody. So we're on installment 2, number 16. Everybody there?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cat's there too. He's showing us his rear end. It's to you.
Okay. Okay, we'll start at the top with Anna.
Page 16, the second dilemma is whole versus special. The ego is not real. It is completely unaware that it is merely a temporary mechanism for soul growth. Therefore, the ego is anything but whole. An integrated body-soul would be united and would produce a whole entity, a holy entity, since the soul is part of God, part of the source of everything. Because none of this applies to 99.99% of humans, we must look at what does apply to them, which is specialness.
Specialness is how the ego evaluates itself and everyone else. It is a broad umbrella term that houses or categorizes it. Excuse me. It is a broad umbrella term that houses or categorizes it. Excuse me. It can be both positive and negative. Someone can be cast into a category and remain there, or can shift from positive to negative, or vice versa. Someone who has been cast out can worm their way back in with showers of gifts and affection. The same person can be kicked to the curb if they fail to deliver the goods or fail to adequately compete with a third party who is vying for someone's attention and or affection.
Okay, Irene just came on, so we'll wait for her to come up. Hi, Jacques. How are you today?
Fine. Here's the cat as well.
Yeah. Well, let's read one more paragraph on specialness then.
No, Irene.
You're reading? You can read today?
Nope. I was studying Irene.
Oh, Irene, are you there? We're on number 18 of installment 2.
Specialness, that one?
Yeah.
Specialness is the name of the game here, and it is bred from competition. The ego searches for others who will be loyal to it and will regard this loyalty. Virtually all friendships, business partnerships, excuse me, and so-called love relationships are based on specialness, not on wholeness, nor on unconditional love and acceptance.
Okay, Judy?
In the illusion that human thinking produces, characters believe tooth and nail that they are real and reinforce each other's realness or their belief in it. They believe in all sorts of things, but the truth of them being part of God operating their bodies is beyond comprehension. They believe their name is Bob or Susie, and that they have a past and a potential future. They have likes and dislikes, regrets and hopes. They may believe in tradition, the importance of education, religion, or none of the above.
Because their thinking is so limited, they aren't able to grasp the big picture and their part in it. They are products of personality and how much intelligence they have or do not have.
Religiously oriented ones may attend Sunday services in their childhood church or a similar one nearby. They may pray to a God for needs or special favors. They may ask for help with a situation or a need for physical healing. They hold on to hope when all else fails because they don't understand the human condition to begin with. They must hold on to hope and grasp at straws. As the Hebrew Bible says, quote, they know not what they do, unquote.
The purpose of human life has varied from person to person, from society to society. People try to achieve something that they think contributes in some small way. But the daily grind is too much for too many. Self-destructive behaviors, physical and mental illness, lack of basic necessities such as food and housing mar the landscape, while a select few share the majority of the world's wealth and resources. Where is the fairness in this situation? What can a purposeless purpose of acquiring more property, wealth, and status possibly say other than help? Where has God been in the worldscape? God is everywhere. Has God been present but powerless to change anything? It may startle you to read my answer, which is yes. God has been powerless here until now.
Okay, do we have, before Bill continues with 23, is there any thing anybody wants to mention about what we read so far?
I'd like to mention that to me, the whole question is, do we see ourselves as strictly humans, or do we see ourselves as God incarnated temporarily as human? Therefore, divine beings and not human beings prioritarily.
That's true. That's our choice.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's an either or. It's both and. We are divine and we are human. And at times, maybe the human may dominate, or at times, hopefully, the divine will dominate. So it's a merging of the two. And I don't think we really need to see it as one or the other. It's like Judy says, it's a choice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can we really choose? I think we can choose. I choose myself to be first and foremost divine, living a human life, and not a human trying to live a divine life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your choice.
Turn around.
Your choice is true.
Yeah, I'm hearing,
Make choices.
yeah, I'm hearing that as that choice, and that we are aware that we have that choice. Whereas before, perhaps we were asleep at it, or it was so far away from our awareness or consciousness that we didn't recognize that choice is what is our truth. So a both and says to me that it's inclusive, that the human state is inclusive within this, and yet it is but a dream that we now find we can choose different from. Thanks for the question, Jacques.
Yeah, Irene, did you have your hand up? You have to unmute.
Well, I think it's a startling sentence. You know, that we will be surprised that God had no power until now.
We bring the power. We didn't wake up until now. We haven't accepted it until now. We haven't brought it forth until now. Bill?
So is that
Yes.
God didn't have any power, or we had not accepted God's power?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a difficult question. This is written there is difficult to, for
We
us,
have to, we have to
for us to
remember
understand,
oops,
that up until now.
To carry that forward, that would say we, having believed in separation, have all the power of God, we just don't know it. And instead, we have developed these thought systems to further our fear and further our separation. So we have always been the expression of God, the extension of God, and it's a question of how we have chosen to go about using that, that we're awakening up to. Thank
and
you.
God does not go against our free will, and therefore he is not able to contradict our free will. And that's where he's not able to intervene. If we say no, that's it.
Also, the part about going to the religions and looking for God's help outside ourselves, which is powerlessness, actually, if you're looking outside yourself for that. So, sure. Were you done, Irene?
To Jacques' statement about free will, which I really appreciate, it became very clear to me in A Course in Miracles that our purpose is to recognize that we are here to use our free will to know God, to be in alignment with God.
Mm-hmm.
Or to recognize our oneness ultimately.
It is interesting the way that he puts it, isn't it? As Irene pointed out, I mean, it is a surprise. It's almost a shock because we're not used to thinking of God as powerless. And I think that's the point that he's really trying to make, that it's up to us to express that power of God. If we don't do it, it doesn't happen.
That's it.
To the separated state or the separated thinking, that would be horrifying. You mean there's nobody in charge out there?
We are.
But Jude was saying basically is, the religious beliefs believe, you have to ask, it's out there, it's not within. So until there's a complete turnaround and everyone's basically on the same page, we will always have that dichotomy, to break. So it's been, even, till we all come together as one in one choice and the truth. So
Its time has come.
God has given us this power. He will not take it away from us. We just have to abandon it back to him.
Jacques, we've always had the power, but we forgot.
Actually,
Time to go back.
The awakening to the truth of who we are
yeah.
in oneness.
Anyone else before we read on to 23? Bill's reading, I believe.
Whoops. Okay. 23. Let me read the last sentence from the previous paragraph first.
Mm-hmm.
It may startle you to read my answer, which is yes, God has been powerless here until now. There are two truths about God in the world. The first is that God is everything. God is everywhere, and that there is nowhere God isn't to be found. The second is that the strength or potency of God on the earth is still relatively weak, whereas the strength of the ego is extremely strong, off the charts strong. With this understanding, one can see the main problem is here.
Can I stop right here because I want to remember this? I was in the company of a friend of mine, and she's a dear friend, and I think I brought her up a few times. She's what they call born again Christian, and she's very, firm in her beliefs, and just in conversation, the thought of God and religion will come up. And something was said last night as we were staying in a group, and she says, "You people don't realize it's the time of the evil." And she gets very adamant about it. This is the time, you want to call it evil, the ego, but she gets it, and God proclaimed this is the time, and she kind of gets, like very, so we just let her kind of rant. Nobody tries to argue with her. It's her thoughts, and but when I was reading that whole paragraph, she came to mind, and I just had to share that. That's out there. And the more people you speak to, they're living in such fear. It's egoic. Whatever you want to call it, ego, evil, demonic, whatever, hell. There is so much fear. You feel it. It permeates the air. Go ahead, Anna. I'm just
Yeah,
saying what I feel. I'm not
I
looking
agree
to
with her. Actually.
Okay.
I agree with her because I feel it too, and I feel that everybody is affected by the challenge which is going on at the moment between, the way I would see it, between the dark and the light. That none of us really, well, this is my feeling, none of us are so enlightened or whatever, that it doesn't affect us. Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Irene wants to say something, but you have to unmute Irene.
Irene, go ahead. Oh.
No? Oh, okay, I thought you had your hand up.
Anna, I do agree, but it's, for me personally, I can't speak for you, I can't speak for anybody else. But when I come into that fear and I feel it permeating around, I try very hard to stay in the truth and not allow it for the dark to consume me. I don't say I succeed, but it's still within, and we forget the power that we hold within.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's an everyday, every moment, really confronting the challenges and making sure that we
shine the light.
whatever you want.
Like he wrote here, it's off the charts. I mean, the fear is off the charts here, so it's a little hard not to be affected by it.
Absolutely.
And so.
But that's where you have, for me, I have to really practice. I'll use the word practice, or go in and find the truth and stand in the storm. And, do I succeed? No, I wind up with anxiety or not sleeping. It's a struggle because it's so prevalent. But he's, I know God is within us and the power is there. And when I do, and I was saying this on another call, that fact that, and COVID, which was the worst thing we ever had, in the world, really was the best because it brought us together so much more because of the technology that everybody was poo-pooing. that there are souls that still come together. You're drawn to the light. So I feel, that it might be the dark ages or whatever, but the light is definitely coming in.
Well,
And
this is the resistance that he talked about, that actually it's needed. The dark is needed in order to strengthen our commitment to the light.
Yeah.
It's part of the training that we're going through.
And
Back to paragraph 10, the spoke of that
practice.
so clearly.
Up to now, the ego has been playing a hide and seek. Golpe, it does its thing and then it hides. But now it can't hide anymore. It looks worse, but it's a good news. The egos can't hide. They'll have to be faced and dealt with.
Didn't quite understand what you said, Jacques. Can you say it again?
Up to now, the ego has been playing a game of hide and seek, attacking and then hiding, and attacking again and hiding again. Right now, they're in this open space. It seems worse, but it's good news. The egos are going to be faced and dealt with.
Right. Come out into the open. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
It's only in the now we have to worry about. We're in the now.
Just like to chime in that I recognize plenty of instances where I slip back into my perception of the insanity and any anxiety that goes along with that. But I am also clear that every instant that happens, every moment that occurs is on purpose.
Good news.
It's on purpose for me and for each one of us. And it's ultimately recognize or have the faith. I have the faith that I will reach that point of where I can lightly laugh at it and silly brush it away, as we read in the innocent perception or true perception at the beginning of A Course in Miracles. And this is how it's unfolding for us. We just get to continue to watch ourselves operate with this and manage this and arrange and live in this and be in this. Thank you. I'm complete.
We don't need to be afraid of it. That's the thing. We don't need to be afraid of fear, because it doesn't actually doesn't have any effect on us, because it comes from illusion. It's not real. So we don't really need to be afraid of seeing it out in the open.
The distinction is that we are aware of that.
Yes.
There are many, many of us. I mean, us is here right now as we're speaking, but it seems the collective conscience of the many is living in fear. And we're all out there with little candles saying, come on, look at the light. It's consuming, it's around. Can you tell everyone to pick up a book? It's funny, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying I was talking about my religious, just how did you start? And I gave a couple of names, some books to think about, so Untethered Soul. So there is, people are looking and needing, they want to know. So that's our purpose, to put the word out there as much as like Irene every day with her little good thoughts. So, but it's palatable, and that's, and it's us who we're talking and saying we know, because we know it's there, face it, and out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. I believe that. So, but tell that to someone that doesn't, has these fear beliefs. Very hard. Very hard.
Yes, Bill.
As we were reading that last paragraph towards the end of it, it dawned on me that we never hear the word the devil anymore.
No.
What to me, what that says is that's progress, that we're recognizing that it's not out there. It's in here. It's in here within me, with my ego, that I get to wrestle with.
Mhm.
I get to.
Many names of the ego. The devil. Cool.
There's an expression I like to remind myself every day, actually, I do. In spite of myself, or in spite of any upset, the will of my heart is to be open. And then that just reminds me that there will be upsets, but my will is to be open to love. And yeah, come on, unmute, Irene, and then you're also going to be reading next. So
Okay, well, the one thing for myself is I can't listen to the news much. Once in a great while, I will. It depends who's talking. But I personally can't hold both views in my mind at the same time. So I can either be peaceful or not. And if I listen to almost any show on television, there's a few like Wheel of Fortune, but where they're not being nasty to each other. But it seems to me that a lot of, even the way people speak to each other is missing its sweetness. And so I have to be real, even myself, I have to pay attention to how I sound, especially people, because the ones that are very sensitive and get all bent out of shape really easily, that I have to pay close attention to what I'm saying and what I'm hearing, and especially how I'm saying something, my tone of voice or my intention when I'm speaking. Because even when we're not warring with each other, as some countries are all the time and are now, our tone of voice is wrong. Everything sounds accusative, that we're blaming somebody for something, that, my life would be better if you would shut up or not be here, or, see it my way, or, I'm waiting to see what is the 100th monkey on that, what finally flips it over.
you.
But not, me and, it'd have to be 500,000 other me's. That, because I want to hear more of and I do, the people I talk to all pretty much are, are kind. But what you hear on the airways is not, I feel, is not kind.
Not at all.
At the end,
They're not selling ads or selling newspapers, there are even ads I can't watch because they're, anyway, enough.
Jacques has something, and then we're
at
going to.
the end, there's nothing happening out there. All is happening within my mind, my perception. There's nothing out there that's real. All is my interpretation my way of seeing things and concluding things. I just have to change my mind. That's the only place I can work.
Mhm.
Working outside, no, it doesn't really serve. I have to work within. That's the only place where I have real power.
That's true. Irene, you were going to read next 24.
I think I was up, wasn't I?
No, you
No,
just read 23.
You just read.
Yeah,
Okay.
you read the last line of 22 and 23, and now Irene is reading 24. You have to unmute again, hon.
Making God stronger, complicated affair. It isn't as simple as joining a church or subscribing to a list of beliefs. It isn't about praising God more or praising the one incorrectly, the one incorrectly thought of as one, and the one and only Son, myself. None of these things will strengthen God one iota, because God is not inside dirt. God is inside of you and everyone you know and don't know. God is inside those who are thought to be evil incarnate and those who walk the earth as saints.
How does
So
one,
Oh, I was going to say, so yes, I agree with Jacques. However, there's also all the others. So this paragraph would make it sound like we indeed know about the others. So yes, we do know about the others and are influenced by them, or or all we see is God.
Well, we have a collective consciousness too that we're part of while we're here on Earth. So even though we know that ultimately that's not reality out there as much as it is in here, but we can affect that out there by what we bring through. So, but then again, there is that collective consciousness out there. So we can't really divorce ourselves from that. We're not asked to either. We're not asked to go up on a mountaintop and be alone. We're being asked to actually, we don't have to go out there and prophesize or anything like that, but we are asked to show up and demonstrate. Yes, Bill?
I remember from early on in the Course in Miracles, the statement that no one can harm you unless you allow them to,
Mm-hmm.
unless you believe they can.
And we get a lot of protection in Journey into the Unknown as well, and in A Course of Love too. It spoke about we don't have to worry about, we are protected. And it says, you don't go run out in front of a bus or you don't do anything silly, but always knowing, and this kind of goes back to what Paul has said before too, that someone might be saying something crazy or you understand the craziness out there, but when we bring it back in and know the truth, it doesn't affect us as much. We don't have to be all that affected by it. And so it's otherwise, my God, we'd all be stuck. Yeah, Bill?
If I may, I'd like to just share a couple of quick personal stories. I'll try to make them quick, but you recognize a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about these back spasms that I was having. They're gone. They're gone. They vanished. And I don't remember what I did or what occurred to that, but they were gone. My beloved Gloria, she went in for surgery this last Monday, and was told it'd be about 6 weeks of recovery and there would be an extreme amount of pain. And she was given all sorts of different pain medications, including, I guess, some opiates or some sort of very strong ones. And since Monday, she's had very little pain and she has not taken any of the medication. She has not taken any of that pain. Instead, she's continued to affirm the wholeness of her body as a tool serving her.
Great.
And, I celebrate this household. Thank you. I'm complete.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Okay, Judy, you want to read on in 25?
How does one change something which has no cohesive sense of purpose to something that does? How can the reality of God being here be reflected here in power and majesty? As it is now, the great life force itself plays second fiddle to the whims and desires of creatively thinking robots. Let's return to the initial intent of the Earth Project. It was always intended as an intense pressure cooker to create more God energy. But by eventually having all characters one day make the realization that they have been tricked into believing they are something that they are not. This is known as awakening, which is the opposite of being asleep or living in a dreamlike state. One can live on the earth in an illusory or dreamlike state, or one can live on the earth in degrees of being awake. Everything from 4 a.m. grogginess to ultimate awareness is possible. Now is the time for that latter. After millennia of illusion, now is the time for ultimate awareness about your true identity and what is truly going on here.
Okay, I'll finish it up and then we'll talk. This is Soul in the Driver's Seat, a course in miracles for the new age. Unless you're okay with the confusion of not knowing who you really are and why you're here in a world of form, this is required reading. If you're okay with the status quo, this will be required reading for you when you're ready, and that time will be sooner rather than later. For the vast majority of people, now is the time to start a new adventure, which will lead to another new adventure, which will lead to another new adventure, all of which will peel away layers and layers of illusory thought and will allow more and more of the true you to shine through. Be ready for tears, be ready for laughter, be ready to be confronted so you can take a hard look at what you have made. Keep what is real and allow what is illusory to fade away. All while the real you gets stronger in the process.
Woo-hoo!
There's that weight building again. We get stronger in the process.
Oh my gosh.
Here we are.
But I like the idea of the pressure cooker. It always was intended as an intense pressure cooker. And that's kind of, I think, what the whole world's feeling right now is that pressure, that extreme force of fear that's really being pushed on us. And that's what that pressure cooker is. And so, yeah, we're not going to be squeezed, but other people are going to be squeezed, and we need to be there to hold their hand, because a lot of them are not going to understand what's going on because they have so much faith in things outside of them. And when that rug gets pulled out from under them, they're going to be really unearthed. We need to be there for them.
The pressure cooker makes the cooking faster. That's the idea. And we are at that now.
Mhm.
Let's be glad that the cooking is being done more quickly.
I'd like to interject something here. Let us recognize the journey, how we have gotten to where we are here now, and recognize that our willingness to do this has paved the way for others. to find it so, and perhaps even find it more easily than we have.
Mhm.
There may be like a doomsday projection of how significant this is going to have to be, but I have no idea what it's going to look like. And I'm willing to just be open to continue to expand, to continue to grow, and trust everybody else is going to be willing at their time, at their point, when they once and for all say enough.
Mhm.
I would also like to add that I don't get the feeling that that we don't also have to look at ourselves. You know, my feeling is that whatever is going to happen, it's going to be a shock for us too. It's not like it's plain sailing for us because we've reached a certain point and therefore we don't have to worry. I think it's constant challenge because it's going to be new. It's going to be so new that we can't at the moment have some idea of what it is that we're going to experience. So I agree with you, Bill. You know, we need to be open, but also to be aware that being open isn't just welcoming everything. It's going to be challenging. I think we need to be prepared for that as well.
Well, and thank you, Anna. And I suggest 15 or 20 minutes ago, we were speaking about the uncertainties that are cropping up for us today on an ongoing basis. Let's see this as this unfolding for us. And my sense of it is too, is that the more this comes up, the more easy it is to shift away from the darkness or the dream. And this is, it's okay with me if this unfolds for everybody in the same manner.
The revelations come in one at a time, and they're preparing the ground. And I think if we're just patient, we're going to get there much faster than we thought.
Celestial speed up. That's what we were told in A Course in Miracles. You know, some of the Rasha work, oneness and the calling and stuff, these are all done 25 years ago. And they're talking about how things are going to unfold. And we go, well, it didn't happen right then when those books were published, but it is happening now 20 some years later. So it's, well, what is
There's no
time?
time, Judy. We believe there's time. There is no
Exactly what I
time.
just said. And what is time
This
anyway?
has been going on for millennia. Millennia. We're just in this little dot of time that we believe we're in. There is no time. We believe in time.
But we
To
needed
say
the
30 years ago, Jesus walked earth over 2,000 years ago.
But
Saying the
is
same
it right
messages
that
that's being said
things are
now.
speeding up, aren't they? I think things are speeding up.
Speeding up. It's speeding up. I think that's what it is. We feel the energy is stronger. And that depends on us in our human form, in this, whatever, this illusion, this paradigm, is to stay as strong and positive as possible. Yes, we'll go through a lot of dark. But from
There
the
was
dark,
something,
light.
sorry,
What, Anna?
there was something in A Course of Love about the day and the night, which we take for granted as the way things are, could change completely. And so, you know, the sort of the framework that you could say that we're used to and that we assume is real, we have to, you know, it's possible that it will all change.
It is possible.
Yeah,
Remember, we're souls on a journey.
Yeah.
This is
Anna, I
only-
think,
this
believe
is
you're
part of the
referring to,
journey.
sorry, Paula. All right.
I mean, the journey is on and on. We're on a journey. And we're souls having these human experiences and sitting here saying these things. And it will go on and on. We have no idea.
Right.
So
Anna, I
the
think
journey
you
of
were
the
referring
soul.
to, whoops, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paula.
That's all right. I'm going to be quiet.
Two items. I believe you recall referring to the part in the Course of Love where it says, the sun may not rise a given day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the other aspect of this, there's a group I'm involved with on Tuesday evenings, and I began introducing them to the soul in the driver's seat last night. I was referring to it a couple of times, and I'm going to be sending them the links. And there's usually a group of like 15, 18 people to that, but it's on an email list. There's about 80 plus people.
Mhm.
I guess they didn't know it, but they're ready.
Ready or not, here it comes.
Anyway,
Uh,
It's a very exciting time.